Hello. We're in the 48th chapter of the book of Ezekiel. I think for about 6 months I've been saying we're almost done. And probably 3 months, something like that. Every week I tell you we're just a little bit closer. Well, guys, I have to tell you, we're almost done. In fact, we're so almost done that we're going to finish this week. We're in the last chapter. It's been an interesting journey. Been a long and interesting journey, but it's a journey that was laid on my heart over a year ago. I told you it would take about a year. It's taken, I think, about a year and 2 months, something like that. A year and a month. And as interesting as it has been, as much as I've enjoyed teaching it, it is nothing compared to what has been laid on my heart that I'll be sharing with you all afterwards. So if you're listening at home, look forward to next week because we're going to start a new journey. I think it's going to be mind-boggling for a lot of people to see the intricacy of the history of the Jewish people. But chapter 48 of Ezekiel begins, "These are the names of the tribes. At the northern end, along the Hethlon road, Limo Hamath to Hazarina, which is the border of Damascus, with Hamath to the north, and the eastern border to the sea, Dan, one tribe." Why is that important to us? Why do we care where the tribe of Dan, or as people anglicize it, Dan, why would we care where that tribe's land is? It's not being honored today in Eretz Israel. The Israeli government doesn't set aside a piece of land here and say this is for one tribe, mainly because it's almost impossible to trace the lineage of some of the tribes. It's oral traditions more than anything else. It's how we know who belongs to what tribe. Why would it matter to us? In part, it matters to us because this is the promise for the kingdom. There are 5 people in this room that I know without a doubt are descended from the tribe of Dan. My wife and all 4 of our daughters, including the one who's adopted, are ethnically of the tribe of Dan. That's important. Because even if we were to move to Eretz Israel today, we couldn't begin to keep a piece of land in that part of the land, or an allotment in that portion of the land. Not guaranteed anything if we move back there right now. But when Mashiach comes and puts everything back in order, guess what? My wife and each of my daughters has a promise in that portion of the land. Now, would they actually acquire it? I doubt it, because biologically, they're all, well, actually, my wife's Dan line is on her father's side, so there might be some chance, but it would probably go to her brothers. My wife married a man who was of Yehudah. Therefore, if we get an allotment for our family in the kingdom, guess where it would be? In the piece of the land set apart for Yehudah. But it's important to know that these promises weren't just for them, these promises are for the kingdom to come. Adjoining the territory of Dan from the eastern border to the western border, Asher, 1. Adjoining the territory of Asher from the eastern border to the western border, Naphtali, 1. Adjoining the territory of Naphtali from the eastern border to the western border, Manasseh, 1. Adjoining the territory of Manasseh from the eastern border to the western border, Ephraim, 1. You notice what they had there? Manasseh and Ephraim. What's going on there? Those are 2 what? Sub-tribes. They're not. The tribe is actually Yusef. There's no mention of Yusef in this passage. But you remember when Yisrael, the man, put his hands upon the heads of Yusef's sons, and he gave them a double portion. He gave Yusef a double portion, one portion for each of his sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. And they became patriarchs of their own tribes, basically. So much so that in the time to come, in the kingdom to come, the descendants of each one will have a place in the kingdom set apart, separate from the other one. The blessings that we as parents bestow upon our children are important. Why? Because they aren't just idle words that pass out of our mouths. I see this every day in my work. I see people who are otherwise in good mental health, but they can't get past the cursing that their parents put on them by telling them that they were failures. By telling them that they weren't worthy. They weren't as good as the other sibling. By telling them that they weren't ever going to amount to anything. When parents speak those words into the hearts and the lives of their children, they create issues that carry on for generations. Not even just to that child, but to that child's children, and their children, and their children. And I see it every day. I tell the people I work with in mental health, our work is not momentary. Our work is generational. When I did treatment and corrections, I saw generations, 2, sometimes 3 generations of a single family incarcerated, all coming to me for treatment for antisocial behavior issues. And if you listen to the oldest members of the family talk about their father and his father and his father, you saw that it was a generational thing that was handed down. Blessings can be just as great. Blessings can be just as strong. I would say blessings can be stronger, but we live in a time when fathers have forgotten how to bless their children. Blessings don't have to be huge things like you get a double portion in the kingdom to come, son. Blessings can be a hug and I love you, child, despite the fact that you've made a mistake. Yes, you've done wrong. Yes, you have to be corrected. But I do this because I love you. That is a blessing. Adjoining the territory of Ephraim, from the eastern border to the western border of Reuben, 1. Adjoining the territory of Reuben, from the eastern border to the western border, Yehudah, 1. That's where I'm living, guys. All of my provable ethnic Jewish blood comes from Judah, Yehudah. Okay? So, if I'm living anywhere, I'm living there. You guys got that, right? Okay? Anybody? Well, you've all got Yehudah. You can come visit me. You know where I am. Or where I'm going to be. Adjoining the territory of Yehudah, from the eastern border to the western border, shall be the reserve that you set aside 25,000 cubits in breadth. That's 75,000 feet, correct? And in length equal to one of the portions from the eastern border to the western border. It is, I just double checked it. The sanctuary shall be in the middle of it. The reserve that you set aside for Yehovah shall be 25,000 long and 10,000 wide. That's 75,000 feet long and 25,000 feet wide. It shall be apportioned to the following. The sacred reserve for the priest shall measure 25,000 cubits to the north, 10,000 cubits to the west, 10,000 to the east, and 25,000 on the south. One big rectangle. With Yehovah's sanctuary in the middle of it. This consecrated area shall be for the priests of the line of Zadok. Notice not the priests of the line of Aaron, although Zadok comes from Aaron, who kept my charge and did not go astray, as the Levim did when the people of Israel went astray. So the people went astray. Most of Levi, most of those of the Levine went after the people, wanting their favor instead of wanting the favor of Yehovah. One man and his sons, Zadok and his sons, kept the proper rites in the temple at the time. One man and his family. And they have a section, an apportionment set aside just for them. Check this out. It shall be a special reserve for them out of the total reserve from the land, most holy. So there's a holy section and a most holy section. You see, when the Levine will be the Levine, no matter what, no matter how much they make mistakes. Remember that analogy I used a while ago? Give your blessing, you love your son, even though you have to correct him, you still love him. The Levine don't stop being the Levine. They don't lose that. They lost the chance to be high priest, them and their descendants. What did I say about the cursing? Those fathers, the rest of the Levine, they did not speak curses on their sons and say, I'm going to curse you to never be high priest. They made choices that caused their sons to not be able to be high priest. Zadok made a choice that caused his descendants to be able to be high priest. And for that, his sons got not the Holy Land, but the most holy land. It says, from the land most holy adjoining the territory of the Levine. Alongside the territory of the priests, the Levine shall have an area 25,000 long and 10,000 wide. The total length shall be 25,000 and the breadth 10,000. You know what that is? That's the size of what all the other Levine got. That's more than a double portion. That would be like if he said, I'm going to cut Eretz Yisrael in half and give half of it to one tribe, and the rest of you get to get to divvy up the other half. That's what he did in the holy section. He divided the holy section into holy and most holy, and he gave Zadok as much land as he gave Levine in general. None of it, the choices of the land may be sold, exchanged, or transferred. It is sacred to Yehovah. Catch that? Any other tribe can sell their land, get it back in the year of the redemption, get it back at Jubilee, however they make their contract. Any other tribe can do that. Levi, and specifically Zadok within Levi, cannot do that. The remaining 5,000 in breadth by 25,000 shall be for common use, serving the city for dwellings and pasture. The city itself shall be in the middle of it, and these shall be its measurements. On the north side, 4,500 cubits. On the south side, 4,500 cubits. On the east side, 4,500 cubits. And on the west side, 4,500 cubits. The pasture shall extend 250 cubits to the north of the city, 250 to the south, 250 to the east, and 250 to the west. As for the remaining 10,000 to the east and 10,000 to the west, adjoining the long side of the sacred reserve, the produce of these areas adjoining the sacred reserve shall serve as food for the workers in the city. The workers in the city from all the tribes of Israel shall cultivate it. The entire reserve, 25,000 square, you shall set aside as the sacred reserve plus the city property. What remains on either side of the sacred reserve of the city property shall belong to the prince. Talked about that in an earlier chapter, a section on each side of the city belonging to the prince. And we talked about some things, and some people think it's the prince at the time. Some people think it's the Prince of Peace. Personally, I think it is the prince, meaning the prince who would reign over us, meaning David Amalek. The prince shall own the land from the border of the 25,000 to the reserve up to the eastern boundary, and from the border of the 25,000 on to the west up to the western boundary, corresponding to the tribal portions. So, with the exception of what has to be set aside for the priests and the city of Jerusalem, the prince inherits a tribal portion. The sacred reserve from the temple sanctuary in the middle of it, and the property of the Levim, and the city property as well, shall be in the middle of the area belonging to the prince. The rest of the land between the territory of Yehudah and the territory of Benjamin shall belong to the prince. Remember, in an earlier chapter we read about, he gets all of this, but he can't take anything else. Okay? As for the remaining tribes, from the eastern border to the western border, Benjamin 1. Adjoining the territory of Benjamin from the eastern border to the western border, Simeon 1. Adjoining the territory of Simeon from the eastern border to the western border, Issachar 1. Adjoining the territory of Issachar from the eastern border to the western border, Zebulun 1. Adjoining the territory of Zebulun from the eastern border to the western border, Gad 1. From the border of Gad shall be the southern boundary. This boundary shall run from Tamar to the waters of Meribah Kadesh, to the Wadi of Mitzrayim, and to the Great Sea. That is the land which he shall allot as a heritage to the tribes of Israel, and those are their portions, declares Yehovah Elohim. 2 points I want to make here. Number one, people want to say that the 144,000 that we see in Revelation, that's figurative, that it's spiritual. They want to say that it's their personal, their Gentile church that they're in. The Catholics have said it, the Mormons have said it, Jehovah's Witnesses have said it. It specifically says 144,000 virgin male Jews, 12,000 from each tribe. We'll do a special ministry in that time. And people say, but we don't know where to find 12,000 Levim, or 12,000 Danim, or 12,000 Reuben, or Benjamin. Okay, we can't trace that. You know what? Elohim can. Elohim knows who they are. Yehovah, who created them, knows who they are. And if you want absolute proof that we're not talking figuratively, that it's not spiritualized, if it's not 12,000 from each tribe, why would each tribe need an allotment in that time? And these are the exits from the city. On its northern side, measuring 4,500 cubits, the gates of the city shall be the gates on the north, named for the tribes of Israel. The Reuben gate, 1. The Yehudah gate, 1. The Levi gate, 1. On the eastern side, measuring 4,500 cubits, there shall be 3 gates. The Yusef gate, 1. The Benjamin gate, 1. And the Dan gate, 1. On the southern side, measuring 4,500 cubits, there shall be 3 gates. The Simeon gate, 1. The Issachar gate, 1. And the Zebulun gate, 1. And on the western side, measuring 4,500 cubits, there shall be 3 gates. The Gad gate, 1. The Asher gate, 1. And the Naphtali gate, 1. Now here's something I like to throw out to those groups that spiritualize all of this stuff and say, you got to be part of this Gentile church to be right with God. Where's the gate for the Catholics? Where's the gate for the Mormons, for the Jehovah's Witnesses, for the Pentecostals, for the Baptists? Where's the gate for them to go in and worship? Where's the gate for them to come back out and do the service? Where's the allotment of land for those people? I'll tell you where it is. It's wherever a branch has been chopped off of the tree of Israel, and they've been grafted in if they're truly sanctified. But if they're trusting in their denomination, if they're trusting in their pastor, if they're trusting in anything, any of the false promises that have been handed down, remember the scripture? It says in the last days, men will run up and grab hold of Jewish men. It says by the hem of their garment, literally by their Ezekiel. And it says that they will ask them, say, teach us the ways of Elohim, for we've inherited only lies from our fathers. We're in that time where people are trusting in false teachings, trusting in whatever they've been told, and they haven't studied the Word, and they think there's going to be a gate in the New Jerusalem for them. They think they're going to enter in and do this joyous service and do this worship, and they think it's going to be on a Sunday. They think they're going to keep Christmas and Ishtar's Day. They don't understand that you're only going to enter in if you're with the tribes, either by birth or having gone through that process to become Ezra. They don't get that. Because there's no Pentecostal gate, there's no Baptist gate, there's no Catholic gate. There's a gate for each of the tribes, each of the sons of Israel and his descendants. Their circumference shall be 18,000 cubits, and the name of the city from that day on shall be Yehovah is there, Jerusalem. We have a midrash. Yes. Oh, that's going to be a big city. That's going to be a huge city. 144,000 people is nothing. There's probably more than that in Evansville. That's just the people who live there. That's not even counting visitors. Yeah, it's going to be a huge city compared to where we live. It's going to be, it doesn't have to be that big to get 144,000 people. It's all the other Jewish people that are going to crowd it out. And that's why it's given us the whole of Eretz Israel.
There's enough people in Los Angeles to repopulate it like
Yes.
Well, not all the land, even if the modern day state of the way it is, land of Israel, even if they wanted to unlock everything they could trace all the village for all the tribes and the people that are there, the tribes, they don't have all the land. They're like one of the first one talks about Damascus. That's another country. They have to find war. They have to have a lot more to take that right now.
Right. Right. And that's part of how we know this is still for the future.
Right.
Because it's going to happen. Everything else is happening. It's really one of the things that's going to happen. If you look at the land that was promised to Abraham, we have a very small piece of it. We have, I talked about that last week. We have like 5% of the land that was promised to him. And you know what? There's still room for more ethnic Jews to move home. And part of me feels like before we can push out those borders and have more of what was promised to us, more of us need to make Aliyah and get home. I think that's part of what he's waiting for us and for us to show that faith. That's correct. That's correct. Talking to a woman at work, just got hired on. Heard that I was Jewish. Actually, heard me make a Jewish joke, was all aghast, and then somebody said, it's okay, he's Jewish, he's allowed to do that. And so she says to me afterwards, it's funny, I've always wondered if maybe I'm Jewish. And I said, really? What's your name, last name? She said, Jacob. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's as funny as my stepfather saying, I've always wondered if I was Jewish. My mother's name was Isaac. Yeah, and people don't get it. They're still asleep. And so I went and grabbed today I went and grabbed the source book for Jewish genealogy and family histories. I'm gonna take it in on Tuesday when I go back to work, and I'm gonna lay her family name in front of her, and whatever she does with it, she does with it. It won't. If she doesn't do anything with it, it won't be because I didn't tell her.
It's such a blessing for so much. All of our names, you gotta
Gotta
really
get
get to it because I mean, there's a lot of like the gardens and the actors, there's a lot of evidence there, but still not looking at it's not spelled out as much as Jacob and Isaac.
Right. Ben Abraham. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else?